So here we go, Alan. We are coming in. Here we are. I think we're live. Let me just double check everything. All right, here we are, Alan. What's going on? So here we go, Alan. We are. Let me just.
All right,
come
Jim's
in.
back from NAM and the exciting LA adventure.
I'm going to tell you right off before we start the review. Since we didn't talk, right? I didn't tell you about this. No. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about the Heavy Metal Hall of history. I'm not going to talk about Neil's NAM Jam yet. I'll talk about that later. I'm going to tell everybody my experience about NAM in about 3 minutes. Okay.
3 minutes.
So first of all, Tom, is the audio good? I know you're. Tell me if you could hear the audio pretty good. Can you hear us both? All right. Let me just. We'll do one more thing. One more thing.
Tom is online.
Tom, how's the audio? Is that a yup? Is it good, or is that? Put this just to have it all live. Don't worry, guys. Stand by. Stand by. We're just doing some sort of quick things here.
We're on time. It's 11 o'clock. What's everybody planning food for?
Good time. Let's see.
You said 11. I'm here at 11. I'm prompt. Exciting reviews today. 2 classic bands. Looking forward to it. So what's NAM in a nutshell? You get stuck in any gridlock? Or
All right. First of all, yes, it's good. Okay, the audio is good. We're good. So far, so good, Alan.
Okay, good.
So, NAM. All right. So for people who don't understand what this is, I don't know what the acronym stands for. Something like National American Music Merchandising. Hey, Scott, what's going on? So, it's the size of 3 hockey arenas.
Wow.
That's 75,000 people, I would say. You don't know where you're going. You don't know where you're at. It's huge. It's massive. And there's no sort of like staff people to sort of direct you.
You have to have, it's like
you have a little map. It's a show. It's a trade show.
It's a trade show, exactly.
Like in our city, right, in Montreal, our trade shows are, they're big, but this is like 3 to 4 times the size of that.
No, it's U.S. Everything's bigger.
So I'll tell you really quickly. Rudy Sarzo, first interview, about, I think it was around 1 o'clock. We're running late. We're running with cameras.
Gonzo journalism.
So what did I do? I go, screw it. I'm not going to get a booth.
Nope.
On the fly interview.
Yeah.
I jumped in line.
I
jumped in line and I did the interview.
We saw that. Randy didn't know what the hell was happening. He thought he'd be talking about a guitar and Jim was interviewing. It's like complete shock.
No preparation. I grabbed Martin Sims from Sims, Guitar Works. Right in line as I was standing in line, and it's very, very little edited. Very little edited.
And we've had Rudy on the show. I mean, Rudy can talk for hours. He's got a great storyteller.
Yes,
super nice guy. I think you took him by surprise, though.
I kind of gave him a heads up I was coming, but keep in mind, hundreds of people are giving a heads up he's coming. Right? Yeah. There was a huge lineup that you didn't see. So I run from Rudy, and then we had to run to the other side of the building for Rowan Robertson, ex-Dio, and Armored Saint. Jeff Duncan.
Okay.
Ran there.
Both guys we've had on the show.
Yeah, and I'll tell you which booth we were at. We were at the... Here, hold this up, Alan.
Oh, there we go.
Elson Coffee.
Yes, we saw that interview here on the Metal Voice.
And there's... brought to you by Elson Coffee.
Jim's great interview.
So...
With the man himself, Mr. Dave.
No, that wasn't Dave yet. So we ran at the other side of the building. Rowan Robertson, Jeff Duncan. Sat down, had an interview. They were on time about 1:30, 1:45. Then... I had to race all the way to the Tascam booth, which is with the opposite end again. So I came one end to the other end, and that's where I met Mark Portnoy, which was phenomenal, which is sort of like, wow, I get to interview Mark Portnoy. And then after Mark Portnoy, right after I saw Mark Osiguera from Death Angel.
Death Angel, one of your favorite bands.
And I go to Kristen, who is actually the representative of Nuclear Blast. Can I interview Mark? And she goes, yeah, no problem. We grab Mark. We go in a booth. So now we're in just me, my wife, and Mark. She's videotaping. We're in a booth, and it's like I'm talking to one of my favorite singers.
Your favorite one of your favorite bands of all time here.
And I'm talking to him in a little booth and having a great time. The guy is amazing, such a gentleman, perfect. And then we look at the time. This is where the real thing was. We have to meet Dave Elfson at the other end where we came from.
So 3 football fields away almost.
So now we're running. I told my wife we should have videotaped this. My wife is running, I'm running, and Kristen Torres, who lives in LA, represents Nuclear Blast. She's got this red hair. We're following the red hair. She's racing. She's racing. We're racing. We finally get to Dave's booth, and there's a huge lineup. I go, oh, forget it. We're not going to have an interview.
Well, yeah.
But you know what Kristen did? She took us. She led us like Moses right through the line, right to Dave Elfson's couch in his booth. We sat there doing coffee shots.
There you go.
And had this great interview. And that was my experience in NAMM. And by the way, as I was running...
Legend.
And here's the funny thing, Alan. As I was running to Dave Elfson's booth, oh my God, there's Geezer Butler. Oh my God, there's Glenn Hughes. Oh my God, there's this guy. This guy from Whitesnake. I'm running, but I can't stop because I got to get to the booth.
You're booked.
So I'm booked. And then this guy comes up to me and goes, hey. He sees my microphone and the flag. You know, the microphone flag that says Metal Voice. Come to my booth. I go, I got to go to an interview. So I'm racing to the interview. We were exhausted. That was like 3 to 4 hours of running. And we didn't get the chance to just sort of walk around and absorb the whole NAMM experience. So since we didn't talk,
highly recommended.
Highly recommended. Hopefully next year we could all be there. And it was just. And then as we were leaving NAMM, who did I see walking? Neil Turbin's coming to NAMM.
Oh, Neil!
I go, Neil, you're supposed to be here 2 hours ago, but he had to work. It's all good. My pal Neil, we hugged, pictures, and you know.
Our West Coast correspondent here on the Metal Voice, Mr. Neil Turbin himself.
All right, so here we go.
We're ready. Let's go. Come on, let's get down to these are guys that you were able to meet. You actually sat at the table at the Hall of Fame event.
Yeah, I want to talk about I'll talk about that in another show.
But
I'm just going to leave you this one thing.
What are we doing?
I sat with Nigel at the Hall of Heavy, just by accident. My wife and I were sitting next to Nigel, the drummer, the whole night. We're sitting next to him. He's telling us stories about Saxon. Yeah. He's telling us how he went almost into a coma because he had some sort of brain aneurysm.
Amazing.
And then when we were in NAMM, we bumped into him. Yeah. And we started talking. And I videotaped him for Riot documentary.
There you go.
Isn't that great?
And we had just seen him and interviewed him.
Yes, and he remembered
2 months ago.
And he remembered us. And you remember
he's
that's right.
A perfect British gentleman. The whole band.
Yes.
Are British gentlemen. And good, Jim. So let's get to her.
Let's go here. Let's show it
again. The new Saxon album.
Let's crank it up here. Look at
Thunderbolt.
Like a thunderbolt.
Look at that.
Look at that. The eagle. The eagle is not landing.
And I mean, you know, it ties into a lot of the tracks on the album. You know, that album cover. You got one about Odin.
Yes.
You even got one about Nosferatu.
The vampire.
Dracula's Waltz or Vampire Waltz.
So, Alan, you tell me, what did you think about the album?
Jim, it's you know, they got a hot streak going. We said this when we reviewed, and we're looking forward to their concert. Our show talking about building up to the concert.
Yep.
The concert did not disappoint. Very hard act to follow, by the way. We never said that.
Talk about our interview experience with Biff and Nigel at the concert.
I mean, like I said, perfect British gentlemen. They asked us if we were like a spot of tea or water or anything. We were welcomed into their bus, which is basically their home. I remember the good old days. I think Biff might have had some young women in the back, and here he is with 2 50-year-old guys in the back of the bus doing the interview. I thought that was quite amusing how times have changed. And it was just perfect. Nigel was going for a walkabout. He had his backpack. He was just going to walk. And this guy can play drums. I said it before the concert, and I'm even more impressed today. UFO followed them.
And that was that.
Or attempted to follow them. UFO was my first time watching them. Great band. Enjoyed it. Pulled out all the hits with some of the newer songs. But man, you can't match Saxon sound.
No.
They came out. It was like a bunch of little kids playing in their basement with that little. You know, Saxon's was a wall of sound. UFO came out and it was just tingy, 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 tingy. It sounded very thin.
Is it fair to say?
And UFOs have been around forever, right?
Saxon was electrifying. Would you say fair to say that?
I mean, everything. It's impossible for them to put on a bad show. I'm convinced of that. So back to the album. I mean, saying that they're riding a wave here. For me, we've said it before. A big Saxon fan. Innocence is no excuse. The Rock of Nations. Going back and listening, not as bad as I thought at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny, really? Nah, you know, looking back, not as bad as I thought. We lost track of them, but Call to Arms, which
the pinnacle
brought them back to North America, and they've had strong albums since.
Yep.
Including the last one, which Battering Ram.
Incredible album.
So now it's kind of like this album for me is kind of like our Accept review of A Rise to Chaos, right? Is that what it is? Right? I can't keep track anymore. But these guys are on a wave. It's going good. Strong albums. Man, how do you keep that up? And again, it's a very solid album. One could say more of the same, but what I loved about this album is that let's get to some of the sound, the tracks here. Son of Odin, some of the stories they're telling on this, Predator, Nosferatu, Thunderbolt, Speed Merchants. Then you got the ones that are about Motorhead, right?
Yeah, well,
you got we play rock and roll.
We play rock and roll. So the first track, let's quickly your thoughts. Thunderbolt.
Yeah, it's a strong lead-off track, just like they do on every album, right? You got the Battering Ram was the same, and Thunderbolt's a good song.
I think that's the song that they'll be continuously being playing. They will be continuously play that song in their live shows. It's something that's going to stay in their set.
They're getting to the point, like, my gosh, all these bands have been around for 40 years. What do you play? Right? You got to play the classics. You got to play Princess of the Night or Strangers in the Night 747. But these are quality songs that unfortunately get left by the wayside once the album is launched. So and the tour is over. So
what about The Secret of Flight? The second song, it's talking about just from the Wright brothers to just sort of the whole aviation thing.
That's what I took away from this album. It's a strong album. Yeah. It doesn't have a breakout hit or anything, but it's the stories that are being told.
Yeah.
Biff's always, Dallas 1 p.m. about the Kennedy assassination. Strangers Tonight 747 about the near miss near New Jersey, the aviation near miss. He's always had great stories, and that continues.
To me, Thunderbolt, great lead-off track. The Secret of Flight, kind of like a little skeptical at first when I first heard it, but then I go, wow, I'm really getting into this song. What about the third one? Now we got the orchestration, we got the epic Nosferatu, which is the vampire song. What'd you think of that?
Very, very different for them, right? I mean, it starts off at the beginning. It's a waltz, and you can hear it with the strings.
It's true. That's a good point. It is a waltz.
Really different. But and again, they've done it all. Like, where do we go from here, right? They're not going to put a dance beat to anything.
But a waltz, a dance.
Then there's the growling vocals, right? There's some death metal vocals.
Wait a second. Predator, right?
And that's what Biff mentioned when we interviewed him. This next album's going to be different. We're going to have some death metal vocals even to try to attract that crowd.
And it's Amin Amarth, right? It's Johan Hegg who does the growls.
Oh, from Amin.
Yes, Amin Amarth, yeah. And he does. I didn't even know. I had to ask somebody. I go, "Who is this? Who is this?" Because I don't have the.
Yeah, because you can distinguish his death growl vocals compared to the other guy's death growl vocals in the other bands. Right?
All right, so then that's Predator, which I thought was a great song. So Thunderbolt, The Secret of Flight, Nosferatu with the big orchestration and the waltz, like you said. Predator, which is another great track because I like the sort of like the difference between the clean and the death.
Yeah.
And then they played rock and roll, which you mentioned before, Motorhead. Was it a good tribute to Motorhead?
I was expecting a little more, I have to be honest. You know what I found interesting about that song? It was a perfect mix between a tribute to Motorhead and still keeping the Saxon sound. Right?
Agreed.
Like when Motorhead did Ramones, the Ramones, Ramones.
Yes.
It was the same kind of thing. It was Motorhead, but the quick 3-minute and the drums were perfect Ramones. It was just like the Ramones, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I found. They didn't do it wasn't a cover of Motorhead. It was a dedication to Motorhead, staying true to the Saxons, but with the spirit of Motorhead. That's what really attracted me to that song.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's got that Motorhead vibe, right? You hosers.
What do we got here? We got.
Why don't you read some comments, Alan?
We're gonna get some comments. John Joe Fitzpatrick, Saxon can do no wrong, and it's Tommy's favorite band in the world.
Yeah.
And Saxon, one of the best bands, very underrated. They've been around so many damn years. They need more exposure hearing us. That's Fraser Dawson. We're hosers, yes, definitely hosers. Ren and Nigel is watching. Well, so that's great. Thank you for watching, Nigel.
Nigel, had a great time. If you're watching. Nigel, we had a great time at the Hall of Heavy Metal History, and and thank you very much for interview, the quick interview for Riot.
So Saxon is out and about, coming soon. It'll be up returning to Canada.
But let's go through. Let's throw a couple more songs out there, just for everybody, right? Sure. So, Son of Odin, like you mentioned, right?
Yeah,
the storytelling, right?
The lyrics. I mean, the pictures that come to mind through Biff's lyrics. I mean, each one is an adventure upon itself. So,
yeah. So I don't know. I like
Sniper.
The
Sniper
Valhalla.
too.
Yeah, Sniper, and then Sniper's another generic. I mean, it's more of a generic, and then A Wizard's Tale, more of the Lord of the Ring. Sorry, the Camelot days, right? The Camelot with Merlin.
Oh, I thought you meant Camelot sounding.
No, Camelot as in terms of Camelot, Merlin and Camelot and the Wizard. Yes. The Wizard's Tale. Speed Merchants, which is Speed Merchants, which is the Inner Sanctum, right? I think that sort of falls into that sort of world.
I'm anxious to hear that one live.
Yeah, that's going to be great live, right? And here we go. And the Roadie song.
Yeah,
talk about the Roadie song,
again, more storytelling. I mean, We Are the Road Crew with Motorhead, one of my favorite Motorhead songs. I mean, it nailed everything about being a roadie, and I think this song does similar.
So let's go talk about the drumming. What do you think about the drumming since Nigel's watching? Are we going to say any wrong? Did he do any wrong? This guy, the drumming. Nigel's watching the drumming. What was the drumming like on this album? The beast. He's a beast. He told me he was like 65, 66 years old. He's a beast.
Nigel, a more unassuming fellow. I mean, he could go walk around anywhere he wants to, he fits into the crowd. He's a regular guy, right? And then you see him on stage. And like you said, he's of a certain age now. And it's, where's this energy coming from? And he can blow off, I don't care who the hottest young band is. Nigel can blow them off the stage anytime he wants.
I get tired walking up the stairs.
It's unbelievable. But hey, hats off, good. That's conditioning. We can all strive to be as active and as professional and as great at our instruments when we're
the fills, the timing, the energy. Nigel does it all.
It's the engine behind the Saxon machine, right?
How about Sneap's production?
I mean, it's a regular up to the par with everything else he's done. I mean, that's a great team. They've been together for years now, and why change a winning formula, right? I mean, it's everything you expect from a Saxon album.
What about the guitars? I just want to talk about the different...
No, I mean, good. The lineup's been steady for years and years and years. Everybody knows their role in the band. Everybody plays great. Paul Quinn is still ripping off solos, and Doug and everybody right across the board. I mean, I would not want to fight. And look,
Priest is they're opening up for Priest.
I've seen Priest recently.
Like I tell everybody this, they're opening for Priest. Watch out! Not
an enviable position. Saxon's going to be a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
Hats off to them, man. That's and you know what? That's what it's all about, right? Being out there, getting the new fans, turning them on to your music, and what a lineup though! And you got Black Star Riders too. I mean, what a treat for any fan. 3 quality bands like that. I mean, I can't wait to see it. It's going to be something. 3 quality bands.
Going back 6 years, we interviewed Biff when he came. Sort of like the band was sort of reinventing themselves in North America, right? And we were there interviewing Biff.
Yeah,
that was our first interview.
Very, very first.
That's 7 years.
Saxon holds a special place in our hearts, that's for sure. Our very, very first interview.
Yeah. And we were there, and we go to Biff. Like, Biff was like 60-something years old. Biff, like, why now are you trying to break into America? He played for Foon, which is not the biggest club, right? At the time, now I'm talking about. And they just, if they're playing in front of thousands of people, or they're playing in front of hundreds of people, electrifying, and they won them over, and they keep coming back to Montreal, and they're playing bigger and bigger and bigger places. So Biff's and Saxon's role, I guess their job was to break North America, and they broke North America.
Yeah, because they put in the time, and they did what they had to do, and it's and quality albums, right? It's not like let's live on our laurels from 20 years ago, and like some bands have come back. From new albums and say, I'm going to still play that one song that was catchy in 1980. No. In fact, I mean, I don't know if I should say this or not, but a lot of fans left. UFO was headlining. A lot of fans left after Saxon.
Yeah, it's true.
They were there to see Saxon, and you know what? That we'll see if that's the case with this next tour. And what I'm finding interesting about this next tour is, I saw Priest on their apparently, and I'm still a little miffed at this, their last tour, Epitaph tour.
I remember you telling me, Jimmy,
Black Star Riders. Black Star Riders was opening, same as this tour, and these guys are great. All the Thin Lizzy classics they played tonight, back to back, bang, 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 and Brian Downey was on drums. Talking about great drummers, Nigel. Brian Downey's right up there too, and he was there. And then they stuck somebody in the middle, like I think it was Black Label Society. Yeah. Which I really wanted to like and that, but man, no. We're changing crowds here. We got like Thin Lizzy at the beginning, then you got Black Star, right? Then Priest came on, and it's nice to see that they came back with Saxon on this tour, where 3 bands that kind of fit more of a demographic, and that is logical that they tour together. For me, as Zach Wilde was a little bit of the wild card on that last one. So
yeah. So let's go to some comments here before we switch gears. Okay. So. You want to read them there?
There was a great.
Alan's not here yet. Okay, well, we'll go to that one.
There was a great comment about Saxon makes a small club sound like Wacken.
Yeah,
which is true.
Matt Leone, effing Saxon. Tom, has anybody bought it in the U.S.? Amazon is selling for $16.99, a bit higher than usual. I'll still buy it. What the F? You know what? Go out and buy it. I definitely worth the money. Fraser, new Saxon badass. It's freaking good.
Scott's comment was Saxon live can make a small club feel like back.
That's
and that could not say it better. It's
squat work. Journalist in Ottawa for the metal voice.
Wall of Sound.
Tom, my favorite band in the world. Ren. Hey, Jimmy and Alan, you're hosers. Okay, we read that comment already.
It's a great storytelling album for sure. Scott agrees.
And what else we got? Montreal Metal. You guys did great interviews with Biff in Montreal last October and back in 2011.
Thank you very much.
It was 2011? Yeah, Call to Arms. And
I was listening to Sailing to America last night. Great drum fills by Nigel on that song as well.
Metal Bends Chronicles. Saxon is a true definition of heavy metal. Punk Texas. I hope to hear Sailing to America live someday. They did play it live. Back in, I think a few years ago, there's actually a live album with that song. So they want to know what our score is from John. What's your score out of 10 for Thunderbolt? For me, it's very easy. I mean, I think the last 4 Saxon albums they've been knocking it out of the park. Somewhere between 8 and 8.5 out of 10 would be,
steady
appropriate.
For me. Steady 8.5 right across the board. Call to Arms, I'd call it a 10 out of 10 personally.
For me, it was more Battering Ram. That was 10 out of 10. But I mean, everyone's got their favorites.
Yeah, that's no problem.
You cannot lose. Go pick this up.
And you got to see them live. You got to see Saxon live. And it's at the point now. I mean, even the last tours. Okay, what songs you want to hear between this one and this one? And a little story came with each. And then they ran into a song. And Broken Heroes. They played Broken Heroes. Jim. They played Broken Heroes.
That's right.
I mean, my night was done right there and then. It was this is paradise, right?
Yeah,
and fantastic. And they give the choice to the crowd, right? Hey, what
That's
do we
right.
hear? What do we hear?
A, B, or C.
This is like a walk in the park at this point, boys.
All right, so go pick it up. Thunderbolt, Saxon's new album. Definitely. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, upon first listen, I was at 8. Now I'm gearing more toward 8.5. Alan gives it an 8.5 out of 10. And who knows, after multiple listens and having it for a while, this might even shoot up even higher. We'll discuss what the score is during our 2018 top 10 albums of the year. And to me, I think it's a contender so far.
This is a contender. There's a few I'm starting to pick up on, Jim. I'm actually have to start taking notes because we're only January. Let me tell you, 2018 is starting off on a gangbusters here.
Planet Saxon, thanks for the support, guys. See you on the road. Thank you, Planet Saxon. I'm not sure who's representing. Who's representing? What's your name, Planet Saxon? Who's representing?
A lot of people are anxious to see that tour as well. The comments are coming over.
All right, so here we go. You ready for this?
Now here's a...
Here we go.
You know, Jim, I've said it before. Here's Canada's equivalent to Saxon. Right?
Yeah, agreed.
The same...
And Motorhead.
The same... Yeah, good point, Jim. The same struggles. They hit around the same time. Their first albums were launched around the same time. record companies and everything. You know, we don't have to revisit all that, but their trajectory of their careers were very similar.
Yeah.
And Anvil is back, the mighty Anvil. Don't get me started.
Don't get him started.
Right? I mean, you're talking about clubs. Here, you want to hold that up? There we go. There's a nice poster inside here. We won't spoil the surprise, but what a packaging. Now, look, a long ways.
Let's open it up.
Hey, look at this.
Look at this.
You know what? Let's mention this, Jim. We should do this.
Ta-da!
This is a long ways from trying to find one of their CDs back in the 90s, back in 2000s, before, we could say before the film. It was impossible to find an album. Forget about packaging. Forget about production. Look at it. You got a poster in there. You're spoiling it for everybody.
It's like Lips is with us. Hold on.
There we go.
There he is. What's going on, guys? It's Lips. It's Lips.
And so going back to NAMM, I got a few more interviews there, and we just saw Lips not too long ago, last fall.
Yeah. So Alan
watched
interviewed
the mighty Anvil.
And hold on.
There's the album cover. That's the album cover. You got to point it down. They're pounding.
They're pounding the pavement.
You got it upside down.
So there we go.
Now they're pounding heaven now. It's okay, Jim. You're making me dizzy here.
Here we go.
Can we get
I want to show you what it looks like.
Can we get to the album now?
Let's get to the album. Go.
Okay, Jim. Let's. I want to get one thing clear right now. You know, I hear Scott Ian's book. Just read Scott Ian's second book.
Yes.
There, and we heard again about how tough it was to be a Kiss fan growing up. Everybody looked down upon them, and they were punched out and beat up and laughed at.
Yeah.
Listen, man, being an Anvil fan, that was not an easy struggle either. I mean, I had people that, Anvil opened for Aerosmith, trying to land that famous management contract with Lieber and Krebs, and I had Aerosmith people going, what is this? What is going on here? Can you imagine out there like playing songs off of Forged in Fire opening for Aerosmith when Aerosmith was literally at their weakest, right?
That's right.
People are like, you like Anvil? Yeah, we love Anvil. Anvil was great. Anvil's fantastic. We love Anvil. Anvil's the best. And they looked at us like we had 8 heads. Right? Or we were talking some language from Mars or something. Yeah. So now, we know the story. We've heard the interviews. They struggled for years they were plugging away, did the albums, couldn't find them anywhere. Bad production. Lips was never happy with the production until This Is 13 when. May rest in peace, Chris Tangarides came back and he said that's the best sounding album they've had in a long time, and I agree. And so it was a struggle. And that music, maybe the production helped, Jim, but the music was dark. It sounded dark. They weren't happy. They weren't in a good place. And as we've learned with our last interview with Lips, they are sufficient. They don't have to do second jobs. His wife mentioned that, and when you interviewed them recently at the Hall of Fame, and you can feel that burden lifted from their shoulders. This is a happy sounding album.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's something that I've missed from Anvil. I realized that listening to this. You go back to even something like Strength of Steel. There's some classic songs on there that were happy. They didn't get the management, the record, they weren't getting the big label, but they're still making happy music. And they lost that because they weren't in a good place, is my feeling. But now you hear they're self-sufficient. They can play music. They don't have to worry about paying the bills. And this comes out on this album for me. It's a happy-sounding album, and it's a great, great, enjoyable listen.
You know what, Alan? I think you nailed it. Out of everything they've gone through, the documentary...
They came out the other side.
This is the product of where they are today.
Because This Is 13, and you mentioned this at the time. This Is 13... was being recorded, the songs were being written before the music came out. And it was still dark. Yeah. I still going back and listen to it. It's a dark album. It's not an easy listen for me. And then you come out the other side, and there were the bass players, and there was some stuff, going. But this one, I think you're right, Jim. This is where it all comes together.
And even when I asked him, so I spoke to Lips, and Lips remembered me. Lips remembered both of us, and he remembered the interview we did in Montreal. Right. He remembered, all the stuff the documentary stuff that he helped me with. Rob didn't know who I was. Rob goes to Lips. Who's this guy?
Yeah, Rob
and I heard him, you know, but it's okay. I mean, it's all
Rob
good.
doesn't do interviews.
Doesn't do interviews.
We don't do interviews.
But anyways, Lips and Rob, very gracious. There is an interview on. You could watch it on YouTube on the Metal Voice channel. It's a great interview, and actually, there's even more. There's the sort of like the behind the scenes interview I filmed live at the Hall of Heavy Metal History, and we're just kind of like clowning around, and it was really funny. But getting to the album, when I heard put on "Bitch in the Box,"
hilarious.
It's got to be one of Anvil's best songs. It's quirky. It's got this big production. It's fun to listen to. It's memorable. It's just got everything you love about Anvil on it. And I to me, it's like this album is just as good as Metal on Metal. I don't know. I put it there. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, now I'm pushing it with that one. Jeez. I would say so. And then you take a song like Ego. Fast, thrashing, moving fast. You know, very contagious. Doing What I Want, Smash Your Face, Pounding the Pavement, which is an
instrumental. I haven't heard since that March of Crabs. You know what I mean?
No, there was one.
I know, but I mean, it's great to hear an instrumental, right? There's been a few. I mean, there's been the White Rhino, which is of course Rob's drum solo. But I mean, this is fun that they gone back. They named an album after an instrumental. It's a great sounding instrumental. I mean, it takes me right back to March of Crowds, the feel of the song I meant, Jim.
I know you're a huge fan of Metal on Metal, but for me, this album is on par with Metal on Metal. Let It Go, another hooky, catchy song.
Hey, talk about outside the box for them. Like, that's a perfect example of what I'm saying.
This is why this album is so great.
Let It Go is, I haven't heard them with that, like, almost that much energy, right? Everything comes together on that song. They're in a different place now, and that's a song's a perfect example of that.
World of Tomorrow.
Nanook.
Another great song.
Nanook of the North.
You know, it's just typical quirky Anvil.
That's Anvil at its best. I mean, let's take a story and let's write about it and tell the story and make sure the words rhyme and how you're going to make this. And he pulls it off. This word does rhyme with that one. And it's they've always done that. They've always told great stories. Black Smoke,
World of Tomorrow, which is a tribute to Black Sabbath. You know,
okay.
It's got that sort of down-tuned sound of Black Sabbath, that doom sound of Black Sabbath. Got the chords, and you could only almost picture Ozzy singing that song. And like you said, Black Smoke was another great song. Warm It Up and Don't Tell Me, which is a bonus track. To me, this is a solid album. I go Lips. This is one of your best albums. I gave it, at first I gave it an 8.5. To me, it's more like a 9 now. This is my favorite. And you know what? A testament to knowing if something's great, you put it on subconsciously. I'm in my car and I go, what do I feel like listening to? I put this album on. It's not because we were reviewing it. It's because I wanted to listen to it. And that's why it's very contagious. I think they do a fabulous job.
What I like is the humor. Like we touched briefly upon that. I mean, going back to Butterbus Jerky, Toe Jam. They've had hilarious songs over the years. And it's nice to see the humor's back as well, right?
Yes.
It's not Thumb Hang. It's kind of a
that was the
depressing song, you know?
That was their first song, I think they wrote.
At the end of the day, when Lips said they're self-sufficient in that last interview we did with them, that made my day. Like you said, we've been trying to interview them for years. We've been lucky. We got to do a couple back-to-back here, not over the phone or at NAMM, live when they're touring. And you talk about live. Yeah. Lips playing in front of 200 people is like Lips playing in front of 2 million people. The joy from the band is that people are coming out and enjoying their music. Doesn't matter if it's crowds of 2 or 2 million. They play and perform the same regardless. Pure professionals. And now they're getting the bigger crowds. The albums are coming yearly, almost, it seems. And it's great to see these guys out there, and this is the true metal, the real metal, as definitely to quote one of their songs.
You know what? I kind of like Anvil's like Motorhead. I mean, you're not going to expect Jeff Tate singing here, right? It's just straightforward heavy metal. It's sort of like Lemmy singing, right? If you like Lemmy, I mean, he's kind of like singing that same sort of octave. What I like about this album is he knows his limitations, Lips, so he's not going up in vocal range. He's going down like Nanook. He's using more of his lower voice to sort of like and
there's
that's
some interesting backing vocals going on in this album too.
Especially in Bitch in the Box. Yeah. Look at Bitch in the Box. They have those back vocals.
Again,
sort of makes the song complete. It just makes the song complete.
Anybody who's ever experienced, make a U-turn.
Yeah,
make a U-turn. You'll love this album.
It's recalculating. So that's it. So there you go.
So we got
new album, Thunderbolt.
Fraser Dawson's still on there with his new Anvil's Badass 2. I like you a lot too. Okay.
Tom, I'm very happy.
Aerosmith turned out to be a bunch of wusses. All right, interesting. Okay. I think Anvil should tour with Saxon, Judas Priest. That'd be badass. Well, yeah. There's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
And but you'll be surprised if you see the show Black Star Riders. I'm anxious to see what the set list is because now they've got 3 of their own albums out. Yeah. See how much they lean on the Lizzie catalog. That'll be interesting. I like how the new Anvil has a touch of the 90s Anvil sound. Interesting.
That's interesting too.
Yeah. I am very happy for Anvil. They deserve it. Tom E. Yes, definitely. Definitely. They came out the other side, and I think we're all benefiting from it. And for me, again, this is a joyous celebration. Something I think they've realized and they've accepted. And again, I mean, don't get me started on Rob's drumming because we can be here for
There's a great comment there, right there. And B9 Cool If, agree on this is 13. Was a letdown. This is the album I wanted 13 to be.
Yeah.
I guess, but you needed 13 to get here, right?
Yeah, well, 13, they were still struggling, right? 13 was their make or break album in their eyes, right? If you go back to the movies, this is as good as it's going to get. I can't be doing this. We got to start making monies. I got family to support. The relations and friends will say, maybe the dream's over. Maybe the dream's over. And who could have foresaw all this?
All right, so I'm going to read a comment here on Facebook.
Ooh,
listening to the new album, it's very impressive. That's Carmen for Saxon and Howard. I agree with you, Saxon concert review. Tom, so he's referring to Tom. And I saw them on a UFO2. I was extremely impressed with the powerful performance that Saxon put on. Biff was incredible as a frontman for a 67-year-old guy. Completely blew me away. Completely blew away UFO. I want your job, Jimmy. If you ever need any help, just let me know.
Look, forget about age. With age comes experience.
Yes.
And the way these bands, whether it be Anvil, Priest, Saxon, they can work the crowd like you are unbelievable. They got the crowd in their palm of their hands all the time because of the experience. Because now you can take a young, hot and coming band and they got no presence on stage whatsoever. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
The albums are unbelievable. The songs are unbelievable. You go to see them live and they're not playing enough, and everything falls flat. You're like, this doesn't sound like the album at all.
That's right.
So these guys. Yeah, okay, they're whatever age they are, yeah, it's a fact of life. But you know what? They're more enjoyable to watch because of the experience that they bring and how they can manipulate and bring enthusiasm to the crowd. So,
all right, man, let's wrap it up. Thunderbolt, Saxon, we're going to go pick it up right now.
Pavement.
Pounding the Pavement, Anvil. Definitely go pick it up. I have.
It is a good show. Here. 2 great bands that are very similar. I've said it for years, and yeah. Hey, man, this is a great show. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks everybody for tuning
these bands all day long, Jim.
So, guys, what are your thoughts on the title track from Firepower to the reminiscent of Dragonaut, which was Priest? So quickly, 10 seconds. Did you hear the new Judas Priest song, Firepower? The title track?
Yeah, I've heard it.
What'd you think?
Jim, you go ahead.
I think it's a Priest. That's all it is. It's Priest. Is it a Sentinel? No. It's probably a little bit better than the last album.
This could be a whole show. We're gonna answer that question. I'd rather answer the
Tune in next time.
Because no, don't get me started on
So
Priest today.
just as a teaser, now me and Alan, we're going offline, and we will be reviewing the new Blaze Bayley album.
Yes. The end of the trilogy, I say.
The end of the trilogy. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be going offline. As you can see, there's a big behind Alan.
Yeah, we got
there's our lighting
metal
studio. The metal studio. So we're going to change this place around, and we're going to also be reviewing Michael Schenker Fest Resurrection. But don't say nothing yet.
Looking forward.
Don't say nothing yet.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.
Right here on the Metal Void.